Hello, I'm Dr. William E. Morgan for Parker Performance Institute. And here with me today is a special guest, Jose Pep Tablada. Pep, thanks for being here today.
Hey, Doctor. Thank you so much for having us.
Now, you represent the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation, is that right?
I do. So I'm the current president of our nonprofit, the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation.
So what does your nonprofit do?
Yeah, so the purpose of the Reconnaissance Foundation is primarily to support our teammates, Marines and sailors that have served in from amphibious reconnaissance units of World War II all the way to today's force reconnaissance, recon battalions, and Marine Raider battalions. So that's what we do. We have programs to support our Gold Star families, our wounded teammates, as well as our active duty force.
So in the Marine Reconnaissance community, what sets them apart from regular Marines?
Well, first and foremost, we are all United States Marines, and that's the most important.
Well, that's actually not true, but keep going.
Okay, so
Navy corpsmen as well.
Yeah, and our special amphibious reconnaissance corpsmen that are attached to us. In the Marine Corps, the reconnaissance community is a very small, elite organization of less than probably 300 to 400 active duty Marines and sailors at any time, and the role of the reconnaissance Marine or corpsman is to provide reconnaissance and direct action capabilities to the Marine Air Ground Task Force. So it's basically, for the simplest terms for the listener, the Special Operations Force of the United States Marine Corps.
So parachuting, diving, submarine operations, sniper operations?
Yes, sir. So basically, very similar to operations conducted by other organizations, the Army, Special Forces Soldier, the Navy SEAL, combatant divers, military free fall, demolition, sniping. But, those are methods to get to work and methods to employ in combat. But the focus of the reconnaissance community is really twofold. One is reconnaissance and the other is direct action.
So you take, your organization joins together these people who've served together and from various generations. And I served in a Marine Reconnaissance unit as well.
Yes, sir. You're a teammate.
Yeah. So you're joining them together, but you also provide services. And what kind of services does your organization provide?
Thank you. So again, focusing on our Marines, current, past, present, retired, and their families, we have deliberate programs for families such as our Gold Star families. So 20 years in the global war on terrorism, we've lost over 40 teammates in the last 2 decades, but we focus on Gold Star families all the way to the beginning of the origins of Marine Reconnaissance, and that's from the mid-1940s. We have programs for our traumatically wounded Marines and sailors. So, again, our generation as combat veterans, we have blast injuries, post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, operator syndrome, gunshot wounds, amputees, et cetera. So we have programs for them as well. And then we have other things that we provide to the active duty force, professional mentoring. We have a historic preservation program. And then we do things like business loans, and we support advanced education. And that's why we're here today, to see, to visit Parker University.
Yeah, we're talking about scholarship opportunities for family members, Gold Star families, and also treatment at Parker Performance Institute for people with traumatic brain injuries or other brain injuries. And you said something earlier, a condition I hadn't heard before, operator syndrome. What's that?
Yeah, so it's kind of a newer term coined for Marine sailors, soldiers, and airmen, specifically in the special operations world that conduct the type of operations that we do. They're around things like blast injuries that could come from, flashbangs or breaching charges. That type of work, high altitude parachuting, subsurface underwater diving, and the culmination of the trauma that comes from that line of work over, a career, 2 decades or more, can culminate in traumatic brain injury and associated symptoms that are kind of categorized under the term operator syndrome.
And I remember from my time in, we might parachute out over the horizon at night with a boat, and the boat drives for 25 miles across the ocean, pounding the whole way. Then you dive with these closed circuit rigs. You go ashore, you do your operation, you might have some demo involved with it, and then you come back. lots of trauma. I mean, I remember just the boat rides, how traumatic that was compared, plus the explosions and everything else that you would be exposed to. So there's these petite traumas that accumulate over the course of a career.
Yes, sir.
And we talked earlier, we talked about, and we have a video we're going to show here where it kind of explains what happens when a blast takes place. And you can see there's a blast taking place. And as that blast wave travels through the air, it comes to the brain, and it actually causes shock waves to go through this gelatinous material of your brain. And what happens, even with a small exposure to a blast, you'll get axonal tearing or shearing. The nerves actually break, and it causes cell death and inflammation, and interferes with normal neurotransmission. So some of the things that we do at Parker Performance Institute is these novel treatments and this stacking of novel treatments to reestablish neural pathways and to heal traumatic brain injuries.
So I would say that the video you're referring to that's shown to the audience, any Marine, soldier, sailor, or airman that has done this type of work has experienced exactly that. I personally have, many times in my career, certainly during my time in Iraq. So this is something that is a common ailment that any of our folks that are going to be coming through your program would have experienced.
Now, one of the things we've experienced is that usually when we have these conversations about brain injuries where the person comes back and their spouse might say, that's my spouse, but there's something different. And we talk about what the treatments we have to offer. Usually the spouse is very encouraging for the service member to come to our clinic, but the service member tends to hold back. What do you think is going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of professional pride. I think it's a unwillingness to accept that the trauma over a person's career in this line of work has real impact to their cognitive ability, their physical abilities. And so what we have seen is a lot of family members have approached our foundation and say, my husband, your teammate, he's not the same man that I married. And he's been through, a decade plus of combat, a lot of trauma, physical, mental, spiritual. And they will come to our organization seeking assistance on, hey, what is out there that is available that could, identify, assess, and then address this problem. So we're really interested in your program because this is right up that line of a very specialized care that we think would be applicable to all of our teammates.
And a lot of folks think that it's in my brain or it's psychological, and there might be a psychological component to it, but almost always, as you saw, it's a brain injury.
Yes, sir.
And most of those brain injuries can be treated. And specifically, we've had people with great success who've had that brain fog and that distant impersonal affect where they basically have a hard time relating to people, have that joy return to their life. And what we like is as former Marine Reconnaissance sailors and Marines is make sure that our brothers and sisters enjoy a full life, a life full of joy and gratitude and able to give back to our society.
Yes, sir. I mean, frankly, any service member, but certainly those from our community have earned that. And, what is something I've learned today touring your facility with your team is it is exactly that. It is actually a physical injury. And many people, including myself until today, did not know that, where I made the assumption that it was a psychological deficit, some type of impact that has to do with the psychology. And it may be some of that, but seeing what you showed us today, I realized that the actual physical damage is a very big component of the problem that you're trying to address, and we're very interested in teaming with you.
And there's something called neuroplasticity, that your body's ability to heal. Its brain, the neurological ability to heal, to lay down new nervous pathways in your brain or new neurons. So it can happen. And we have put together at our clinic, we're going to go visit that in a little bit, a unique stack of treatments that actually facilitate neuroplasticity so that brain healing can take place. So we're excited about this. We're excited about your visit. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure.
Appreciate it.
And this is Parker Performance Institute.